Today we're going to start to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So let's review what a parallel line looks like. Parallel lines are lines that never intersect. They are equidistant apart from each other. And we're also going to mention the big part of this is that they have the same slope. Perpendicular lines are lines that make right angles. And what we're going to look at a little bit more in depth with this is what are their slopes. So if I pull out the slopes of the two lines that I have drawn here, you'll notice that we're going to denote those as negative reciprocals. So the two slopes that were there were 2 and negative 1/2. So I'll show those to you again. Again, why are those negative reciprocals? Well, a reciprocal means that you're flipping the fraction over. And so if we think of the 2 as a fraction, it was 2 over 1. And if we flip that fraction, we get 1/2. The negative part changes the sign, so it was positive, now it's negative. So the first examples we're going to go through is we're just going to find negative reciprocals. The first number is 3. I'll make it a fraction by putting it over 1. So the negative reciprocal of this would be 1/3 is the reciprocal, but the negative reciprocal would have a negative in front of it. It was positive, now it's negative. The second example, I have negative 4. I can put that over 1. I'll make that a fraction by putting 1 over 4. It was negative, now it's positive. That makes it be its negative reciprocal. The third example, I have 1/4. We're going to flip the fraction. We get 4 over 1. It was positive, so I'll make it negative. We really don't need to write negative 4 over 1. We can really say that's negative 4. The last example on this slide is negative 2/3. I want to find the negative reciprocal of that. I would flip the fraction. It was negative, now it's positive. So I'm finished with that type of problem. The next type of problem, we're going to decide whether the slopes are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So what I'm given is I'm given the slope of line 1 and the slope of line 2. We're going to compare those two slopes. Both of them are 1/2. They have the same slope, so we would denote these lines or these slopes as parallel. The next example, I have the slope of line 1 is negative 3 and the slope of line 2 is 3. These are not the same slopes, nor are they negative reciprocals of each other, so the answer ends up being neither. The last example on this slide has the slope. The first slope is 1/4 and the second slope is negative 4. If you think about finding the negative reciprocal of this, I would flip the fraction. And it was positive, so now it's negative. And it would be denoted as perpendicular. These two slopes are perpendicular. The next example, we're going to find the slopes first. We need to find the slopes of the two lines that are given. The first slope is 2 and the second slope is negative 2. These two slopes are neither the same, nor are they negative reciprocals of each other, so we would denote these lines as neither parallel or perpendicular. The next example, we have a slope of negative 3 and a slope of 1/3. If we look at the two slopes, we'll say that this is negative 3. You could write it as a fraction as negative 3 over 1. This is a fraction of 1/3. Hopefully you can see that these are negative reciprocals of each other. They are reciprocals and they have different signs. Since they're negative reciprocals of each other, we can say that the lines are perpendicular. The next example, I need to solve for y so I can find the slope of each line. So I'll solve for y by subtracting 4x from both sides. That gives me 5y equals negative 4x plus 2. I'll divide by 5 everywhere. So that means my first line is negative 4/5 x plus 2/5. The second line will solve it for y as well by subtracting negative 5x from both sides, or subtracting 5x from both sides. That gives me 4y equals negative 5x plus 3. Then I'll divide by 4 everywhere. That gives me the line y equals negative 4/5 x plus 3/4. The parts I'm really concerned with is the slope, so I'll highlight the slope is negative 4/5 and the slope is negative 5/4. Those are reciprocals of each other, but they're not negative reciprocals of each other, so these two lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular.